Lumberjack had removed his flannel plaid shirt and set it across Nix's shoulder. They had taken to sitting on a park bench as Nix told Jack what happened. At times, Lumberjack hadn't been the best listener. More than once he had been reminded of something by what Nix had said that had gone off at a tangent, telling his own story. Nix wasn't sure if he was trying to cheer her up or not, but eventually Jack always came back around and would ask her what happened next. But now she was done. She had told him what she and Rarity overheard Shining saying. This time, Lumberjack had no quips or tall tales to tell. He just sat with Nix, staring at the snow as he tried to wrap his head what he had been told.
Shining! He had said that!
Nix nodded, trying to rub the tears from her cheeks. He did. Lumberjack shook his head and rose from the bench. He took a few lumbering steps into the streets, looking to the ground, as if he had dropped the key. He looked back at her a few times, opening his mouth as if to say something. Then he shook his head to go back to looking on the ground. Eventually, Nix couldn't stand the silence. You think he's right, don't you? He has to be right. Why else would Twilight? Lumberjack turned and quickly walked to the bench.
Do not think such things, little snowflake.
But...
No!
Lumberjack said, voice booming with the strength to match his mountainous physique.
I will admit, I am just woodcutter. You ask me how to sharpen an axe, I will tell you one family secret. You ask me how to tell what color street fur will be, and I will tell you to look at the roots and leaves. You ask me how to wrestle a bear, I will tell you how to pin him in one move. But Lumberjack is just woodcutter, just earth pony. But I do not know things of magic. But do you know what else Lumberjack knows? I know you must not give up hope.
He moved back up to Nix, reached into a pocket of his shirt, which was still draped across Nix. He then withdrew 2 pictures. Both of them were a little worn, with bent covers. One also seemed older than the other, both in good condition.
I am truly lucky, you know. I have a beautiful wife, and was able to take up my family's great tradition of woodcutting and rainbow range. I was also blessed by the birth of my daughter.
He turned the picture around, letting Nix see it. It was of Lumberjack holding baby Pony, who seemed not so tiny compared to him.
She is not big mountain mare like her grandmother. No, she is smart mare like my wife. But still, she tried to make Lumberjack so proud. She helped with woodcutting, tried to continue tradition. But then, there was accident.
Lumberjack turned the picture back around, sighing a little before focusing on the newer of the 2 photographs.
My little mare, she was caught beneath pile of logs. Took hour to get her out of hospital, then hour to get her to hospital. Then we're waiting. Doctors say we waited for 4 hours, but it felt like days. My wife and I waited. At one point, doctors say we should prepare for worse. But you know what? I did not prepare for worse. I hoped and believed my little smart filly. I told my wife that our daughter would live. Would get good education and find love.
What happened in the end? Nix said. Lumberjack smiled and showed her a second picture. It was of a young mare, wearing graduation robes, smiling with Lumberjack and another older mare.
Lumberjack is truly lucky, for my daughter lived. She got good education, got good job with other smart ponies. Make me proud, even if she doesn't cut wood.
Is it wrong I want to make him Coloradora's father? Huh? Am I wrong in wanting this? Am I wrong in wanting to make Lumberjack Coloradora's father? I'm just seeing that.
Maybe. She would have been okay if Lumberjack had given up, but I wouldn't want to take that chance. And now, little snowflake, this is where you are. You fear shining, right? Well, you tell him to prove it. Then you live every day as if he never will. Believe with all your heart that Twilight truly cares, little snowflake, and you will have no regrets.
Nyx raised her head, looking up at Lumberjack's puffed out chest with a bright, confident smile. And she couldn't help but smile a little. That little smile was all Lumberjack needed to see. In a single, swift motion, he skipped Nyx up and laughed loudly. Then he dropped Nyx on his back, continuing to laugh as he began to walk in direction of the castle. Either that, or a sassy saddles.
There, you see, hope makes everything better. Now, little snowflake, let us get you back to castle. Twilight must be worried sick.
But what about Shiny? I don't...
Bah! You listen to Lumberjack. Shining may be fancy unicorn, and Lumberjack may not know of magic. But you know what? I think he is dead wrong. Blood-brain harnessing pony. Who has heard of that? Only thing I've heard of blood doing is staining good workshops and binding family together.
What do you mean?
Nyx asked.
Blood is thicker than water, little snowflake. Blood of my father flows in my veins. Blood of my grandfather flows in his veins. And in his veins flowed blood of my great-grandmother. Now she was a woodcutter who would put Lumberjack to shame. And what, I ask you, did gold ponies use in ritual? I'll tell you what you told me. It was Twilight's blood. So, Lumberjack thinks Shining wrong. Lumberjack thinks that drop of Twilight's blood still flowing in your veins.
Nyx stared at Lumberjack, her mind needing a moment to process the thought that had just been presented to her. She had not thought of it like that. It was the polar opposite of what Shining feared. Just as the blood could have been used for some dark purpose, the blood may have been an essential ingredient in her new life. What if it was still part of her? What if she just wasn't Twilight's adopted daughter? What if she was Twilight's real daughter? It was such a strange thought, but it began to fill Nyx's mind like the warmth from a fire filling a cold room. Shining wouldn't have to be afraid of her anymore if Lumberjack was right. No pony would be able to take her away from Twilight ever again. Nightlight and Velvet would be her real grandparents, and Cadence would be her real aunt. To Nyx, in that moment, seeing the whole world would be better if she really was Twilight's daughter.
You think that's true?
Nyx asked, voice quivering a little in excitement.
Lumberjack shrugged. I do not know. It is what makes sense to me. But what makes sense to me isn't always right. You need to ask some pony like Princesses or Twilight.
And of course, now that's the same thing.
You would need to ask some pony who would know the answer. Like when ponies ask me best way to keep logs dry.
That was true. If she wanted to know for sure, she has to ask some pony that she knew what the blood did in the ritual. But who would that be? Nyx didn't think Twilight would know. The princesses might know. But if they did know, then they had chosen not to tell any pony. Beyond them, Nyx didn't really know any pony they knew about the original resurrection spell. No pony except
Spell Nexus.
Lumberjack stopped, turned his head so he could look at Nyx.
What was that?
Spell Nexus!
Nyx jumped down from Lumberjack's back.
He made the spell that made me. He knows what the blood was supposed to do. I had to go ask him.
She turned to gallop off, but was quickly caught by Lumberjack. He hauled her off the ground by one hind leg, once more held her upside down in her face.
Whoa, little snowflake. Twilight would have my head if I did not take you straight back. Do you have idea how worried she must be?
Maybe.
Nyx admitted, ears flattening against her head. Whether it was caused by a spell or not, Twilight had to be worried sick. Nyx could picture her, pacing back and forth. She'd be able to sit still, and her mane would be a mess. It was a mental image that tore at Nyx's heart. She didn't want to make Twilight worry. She didn't even know where Spell Nexus lived. He had been staying at Nightstone Castle when she was queen. Thus, she didn't know where his house was in Canterlot. Still, if she found him, it would answer all the questions. For better or worse, she'd at least know for sure whether or not Shiny was right. She'd know whether or not Twilight was her real mother. Okay, people, how many people see her as the real mother anyway?
Please, Lumberjack.
She finally managed to say. She looked up at the burly pony in desperation.
Can you help me find him? You said yourself that when you have a question, you should ask the pony that knows the answer. Spell Nexus knows what Twilight's blood did in that spell.
Lumberjack knelt down, sitting next back down on the ground, before lowering himself down so he could look into each other face to face.
But this little snowflake, sure, she is ready for answer Spell Nexus has. It may not be answer you want. You may prove Shiny as right.
Nyx glanced away nervously. She hadn't thought of that, but she still wanted to know. She needed to know, and Twilight deserved to know. As much as she hated the idea of Twilight not caring for her anymore, she didn't like the idea of Twilight being under a spell more. It made her think of how Twilight was after she had saved her from the Hangmare's noose, and reminded her of how scared she had lost Twilight to a spell, and helped her realize how scared Shining Armor had to be.
I need to know.
All right,
Lumberjack said, as he got back to his host. Carried Nyx up again, with an expert toss, landed her on his back.
Let's go talk to this Spell Nexus.
Thank you. So, where should we get started? I know Spell Nexus was headmaster to Celestia's School of Gifted Unicorns, so maybe we'll try...
We go this way,
Lumberjack said as he made a turn, started jogging down the street.
Like this way?
Nyx asked, as she scrambled to keep herself from falling off Lumberjack's back.
Because Lumberjack sells wood to more than this little snowflake's family. Because Spell Nexus orders wood at 3 before season starts. And I deliver that wood to Spell Nexus's mana. We go this way, little snowflake. Because that is the way to Spell Nexus's home.
God, I love doing this voice.